And look, Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird platformed this person yesterday who blatantly went out there and spewed a bunch of BS about Caitlin Clark fans. Simply put. And now Sue Bird, as part of that same conversation, another clip has emerged. And these people are out there, you're literally saying things that are factually incorrect.
This is a decision that should make basketball fans stop and pay attention. Sue Bird, now serving as the managing director of USA Basketball, holds real power. She helps decide who represents the country on the world stage. With that role comes responsibility, balance, and awareness of how influence is used. That's why her latest move raised eyebrows. She chose to give a platform to Katie Nolan, a media figure known more for controversy than credibility, to criticize Caitlin Clark's fan base using claims that do not hold up under basic scrutiny. The clip from their conversation goes beyond a bad take or an awkward moment. It points to a deeper issue, a disconnect from how sports fandom actually works in today's world. Fans are passionate. They argue, defend, exaggerate, and celebrate. That behavior isn't unique to Caitlin Clark or women's basketball. It exists in every major sport. Framing one fan base as uniquely problematic ignores that reality and unfairly shifts blame onto the athlete herself. What's most concerning is what this suggests moving forward. When leadership appears comfortable amplifying biased narratives, it raises valid questions about fairness. Team USA selections should be based on performance, readiness, and fit, not personal preferences or media-driven storylines. When perception starts to outweigh merit, trust begins to erode. And that's something the sport cannot afford.
A large group of people, mostly that exist online, it wasn't enough, like, love a player, love Caitlin, love whoever you want to love. But it was simultaneously they had to then say that every player that ever came before was trash.
No. That is not correct. That's not a thing. Sure, do you probably have an outlier group of people that are out there feeling that way? Sure. This is what these people don't understand. You people.
Let's be very clear about what Sue Bird actually said in that conversation, because the wording matters. She claimed that a large group of Caitlin Clark fans praised their favorite player, while also saying that every WNBA player who came before her was trash. That was her framing, not a few loud voices, not random trolls. A large group, a defining part of the fan base. That's where the problem starts. There is no real evidence to support that claim. Yes, if you dig deep enough on social media, you can find extreme comments. You always can. Every sport has them. There are LeBron fans who tear down Michael Jordan. There are Tom Brady fans who dismiss Joe Montana. That behavior is not new, and it is not unique to women's basketball. But those comments come from the margins. They are not representative of the majority. Sue Bird wasn't talking about outliers, though. She presented this idea as if it were a shared mindset among Caitlin Clark fans, and that simply isn't true. Most fans who support Caitlin also respect the players who built the league before her. They celebrate the past and the present at the same time. Painting an entire audience with one negative brush isn't honest, and it creates a false narrative that unfairly turns enthusiasm into something toxic.
Josh Allen and Tom Brady are trash. Those fans exist, right? Here's the thing. Nobody thought the players that came before them were trash. No fans came into this league and thought that. What fans did think was, we don't really care about those players. We don't. We should not have to come into a league to consume its product and these people be angry at us because we don't want to go through some fandom checklist. Here's why they don't we're indifferent to the previous players. We simply don't care. We don't care.
What Sue Bird is really describing, whether she realizes it or not, is indifference. And she's confusing that indifference with hostility, because the alternative is harder to accept. The truth is, millions of new WNBA viewers didn't think Diana Taurasi was bad. They simply didn't think about her at all. They weren't tuning in for league history lessons. They weren't focused on Breanna Stewart's championship resume. They didn't feel any pull toward past eras, and that's completely normal in sports. That's how fandom has always worked. Plenty of people watched Michael Jordan in the 1990s without caring about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's legacy. Whole generations followed LeBron James and couldn't name 3 players from the Celtics dynasty. When Steph Curry changed the game with the three-point shot, his fans didn't feel required to study Jerry West before enjoying Warriors basketball. Sports interest usually starts with one player, one moment, or one story. From there, some fans dig deeper, and others don't. Neither approach is wrong. You don't have to earn the right to enjoy a league by memorizing its past. Expecting new fans to arrive fully educated is unrealistic, and blaming them for not doing so misunderstands how sports culture actually grows.
That doesn't mean we think that some player is trash. We are simply indifferent to them. Diana Taurasi's trash. No, I am fully aware Diana Taurasi is one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time. And even before I came in to watch and consume, I heard her name. I would see some highlights on ESPN, on SportsCenter, back when SportsCenter was good and was still consumable, etc. I just simply was so indifferent to her and this league that I chose not to consume it. And that's okay. That is fine. That doesn't make any...
This is where the issue goes beyond a simple misunderstanding about fan behavior. Sue Bird is not just another voice sharing opinions on a podcast. She is the managing director of USA Basketball. That role gives her real influence over who represents the United States in international competition. Her perspective matters. By going on record and suggesting that fans who came to the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark, without first studying the league's history, are somehow a problem, she crossed an important line. She framed normal sports viewing habits as disrespectful behavior that needs to be corrected. That framing is troubling. Now think about what that mindset could mean. If Bird truly believes Caitlin Clark's fanbase is defined by disrespect toward past players, how does that shape her view of Clark herself? Does she see Clark as encouraging that behavior, even indirectly? Does she expect Clark to take responsibility for educating millions of fans about league history? These are not abstract concerns. When someone in Bird's position publicly supports a narrative that paints a player's supporters in a negative light, it raises serious questions about fairness. Bias does not always show up in obvious ways. Sometimes it appears in assumptions, framing, and the stories leaders choose to amplify. And when those leaders are making roster decisions, those assumptions matter.
Catalog. Office Space, Michael Bolton. We just celebrated his entire catalog. The WNBA, we don't celebrate their entire catalog. Sorry, we don't. Even now, I'm sorry, I'm not watching any team play that's not the Indiana Fever. Do you know how many NBA fans only watched Michael Jordan? Only watched Magic Johnson, only watched Larry Bird? That was a thing. Even when I was a huge NBA fan, do you think I was going out of my way to watch Sacramento Kings games? You're shitting me, right?
The catalog comparison that keeps coming up in these conversations is very telling. Sue Bird and others within the WNBA establishment seem genuinely upset that new fans are not going back to watch old games, not studying the league's full history, and not showing deep reverence for every past star. But that frustration is aimed in the wrong direction. Sports fans have never behaved that way, and they never will. Think about music for a moment. When someone discovers a band through its latest album, the band doesn't scold the listener for not starting with the first record. They welcome the new fan and hope that interest grows over time. Sports work the same way. People usually connect through a current star, a big moment, or a compelling storyline. History comes later, if at all. The WNBA had 27 years before Caitlin Clark entered the league to build a large, consistent audience. Those years produced elite players, iconic performances, and real championships. What they did not produce was mass viewership. The 2023 WNBA Finals averaged under 900,000 viewers per game. That's not an insult to the talent. It's simply reality. Then Caitlin Clark arrived. Suddenly, games pulled in more than 2 million viewers. Arenas sold out. Merchandise sales surged. Media coverage exploded. That shift wasn't accidental. It was demand finally meeting attention, and that should be celebrated, not resented.
Fans are simply indifferent to past players. We simply do not care. If you think that's hate, that's your problem. That's a you issue. Because we simply don't care. We're not going back and consuming it. I'm sure you got a few fans that want to do that. Came in and thought this was the greatest league ever after not ever watching it. Sorry, no. It's not. In fact, in a lot of these games, there's some really bad basketball being played right now in this league. That at times is nearly unwatchable. Okay, I mean, that's fine to say out loud. It doesn't make me a son of a bitch. It doesn't. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, and to go out there, you're the what, managing director or something of US?
Instead of recognizing this moment as the commercial breakthrough the league badly needed, voices like Sue Bird are doing the opposite. They are questioning why new fans showed up, doubting their sincerity, and accusing them of disrespecting the past. That is a huge misread of what is actually happening. These new viewers do not owe the WNBA anything. They are not required to admire the league's full history. They are not obligated to study players they never had the chance to watch. They tuned in because one player caught their attention. That is how sports interest begins. The league's focus should be on keeping those fans engaged, not lecturing them about what they should have been watching for the last 30 years. Other sports have already learned this lesson. When Tiger Woods brought millions of new fans to golf in the late 1990s, the PGA Tour did not demand that those viewers first learn Jack Nicklaus's entire legacy. When the Williams sisters transformed women's tennis, fans were not required to study Martina Navratilova before enjoying their matches. Leaders in those sports understood something simple. Star power brings attention, attention creates revenue, and revenue supports everyone. The WNBA, strangely, seems resistant to accepting this basic reality. Instead of embracing growth, it risks pushing away the very audience that finally showed up.
It is frightening to me that you are going to make decisions potentially about who's representing our country in Team USA. All because you don't like the fact that we don't want to consume your agenda. And we all know what I'm talking about. No, I'm not going to consume your agenda, and we don't have to. I mean, that's baffling to me. They continue to want to tell fans how to be fans. And I got to be honest, at this point, you're not going to convince me there's not an anti-Caitlin Clark bias going on with people like Sue Bird now. Sorry, Sue Bird. Congratulations.
What makes Sue Bird's comments especially troubling is the setting in which she chose to make them. This wasn't a private remark taken out of context. She intentionally gave a platform to Katie Nolan, a media figure known for controversial takes and failed ventures, to have this exact conversation in public. That choice was deliberate. Bird wanted this message heard. By doing so, she publicly framed Caitlin Clark's fan base as a problem while holding a role that gives her real authority over USA basketball roster decisions. That combination matters. When someone with that level of influence signals a negative view tied to a specific player's audience, it changes how every future decision is perceived. Now think ahead to the next major international tournament. If Caitlin Clark is left off the roster, or if she makes the team but sees limited minutes, how are fans supposed to read that? Fair or not? Those choices will now be viewed through the lens of possible bias. Even if the basketball reasoning is sound, the doubt will linger. That's the issue Bird created for herself and for USA Basketball. Leaders in powerful positions have to be careful about the narratives they amplify. Once those views are public, you can't ask people to ignore them. Perception becomes part of the reality, and in this case, it risks undermining trust in decisions that are supposed to be based purely on performance.
Chose not to go back and consume. And that is okay. Sports fans, that is okay. That doesn't make you a bigot or a racist or a phobe or an ism or none of that mother effing BS that I've been fighting against for 5.5 effing years. God, you actually are going to be making decisions about who.
This is what happens when someone in a powerful position fails to separate personal opinions from professional responsibility. Sue Bird is allowed to feel however she wants about WNBA fandom. She can be frustrated that new viewers are not deeply engaged with the league's history. That's her right. But once she expresses those views publicly while serving as the managing director of USA Basketball, it becomes a problem. At that point, she risks damaging trust in the selection process itself. Her comments reveal a deeper disconnect. Bird seems to believe that new fans owe something to the league's past, that following Caitlin Clark should come with an obligation to study Diana Taurasi, Breanna Stewart, and every star before them. That's not how entertainment works. Sports are entertainment, whether people like that reality or not. Audiences connect through what excites them now, not through required homework. Caitlin Clark's impact isn't a debate. The numbers are undeniable. Her college championship game drew nearly 19 million viewers. Her WNBA debut brought over 2 million. Fever Games more than doubled the league's average audience. That's transformational growth driven by one player. Many new fans didn't arrive with hatred for past players. They arrived excited, and then noticed inconsistent officiating, excessive physical play against Clark, and a league that often seemed defensive instead of protective. Those concerns were legitimate, even acknowledged later by the league itself. Blaming fans is easier than confronting internal issues. But when someone with real authority amplifies that blame, it creates doubt. Fair or not, every future Team USA decision involving Clark will now be viewed through the lens of possible bias. And in leadership, perception matters almost as much as intent.